Hello everybody, welcome back to our HTML beginners course. This tutorial will build on our opening header for our web page and add an image. We will also spend some more time exploring attributes and explaining which ones we have to complete for our image element. Okay, let's begin. The image element, shortened to IMG in HTML, embeds an image into the document. We will use it to add an image to the web page we have been building in this tutorial series so that the visitors can see how lovely our pizza will be. In the previous tutorial we introduced self-closing tags, and the image element is another one of these. Self-closing tags, or void elements as they are also known, do not have a closing tag. For example, adding this closing tag to the image element would be incorrect, so we'll delete it again. If you recall, we do not need a closing tag as we will never add content outside of the attributes, i.e. we will never wrap the content to form the element. All the information we require is contained within the attributes inside the tag. Don't worry if this sounds confusing, I will clearly explain it by the end of this video. So, we have our image element, self-closing tag. Next, we need an image to put on our page. We will create a folder in our root directory and call it Images. We will use this folder to store any images we will use on our website. Using a structured folder system helps us to keep things tidy. Doing so from the beginning will aid us when we start to make larger websites, which can quickly become messy to manage. I downloaded this picture from Unsplash. As with all the resources in this beginner's course, you can find the photo on my website if you would like to use it, or you can choose a different image. We will drag the pizza image to our newly created images folder. Now we can access this image to use it on our web page. We will give the image file a descriptive name and use hyphens to space out the words. The descriptive name will aid us with our SEO, but we will cover that in the SEO tutorial series. Going back to our code for the index page, we need to tell the element what image file to use. To do this, we will use the src attribute, which is pronounced source and contains the path to the image we want to embed. We add the path to the image inside this source attribute. In the previous tutorials of this beginner's course, we have already used attributes and spoken a bit about them. We will add a couple more attributes to this image, and then we'll explain how they work in greater detail to ensure we understand them fully. Before that though, let's check out our source attribute is working correctly and we have an image on our page. If we go to the browser and hit refresh, we can see the image has appeared. Now, as you can see, we have a problem. Our image is enormous. We could solve this by resizing our image file directly, however, we want it to be a decent size later on as we will resize it depending on what device our visitor is using, such as a mobile phone or a high-resolution monitor, for example. To fix this, we will need to tell the browser what size we want the image to be. In our CSS beginners course, we will do this in a much more elegant way, but we will use the width and height attributes in the image element for now. We will give it a width of 500 pixels and a height of 375 pixels. Using these values keeps the aspect ratio of the original photo, preventing any morphing. We can specify the size here in pixels or as a percentage. If we refresh our page, we now have an image that's a much better size for my monitor. You can choose a different size depending on what device you are using for this tutorial. Note, this is a straightforward way of resizing an image and is not how we will do it once we have learned how to use CSS. For now, it helps us to understand how to use HTML, but in the next course we will use CSS to improve significantly on this method. The final attribute we want to enter for our image is the alternative text attribute, which we spell as alt. The alt attribute provides a text description of the image. It is essential for accessibility as screen readers will read this description out, so the visitor knows what the image is or its purpose. Alt text is also displayed on the web page if the browser cannot load the image for some reason. Let's give our alt attribute a value. To test this, let's break our image link intentionally so that the web browser cannot find it. I'll add a typo to the link. If we then go to our browser and refresh, we can see that the image is shown as our alternative text instead. Great! Before we go any further, let's remove that typo again. Now we have added a few attributes to our image tag, let's explore how the attributes work in more detail. An attribute contains information about the element. It must have a space between the attribute name and any other attribute or the element name. An equal sign and its value follow the attribute name in opening and closing quote marks. There are occasions where you can skip the value, but we'll cover that later. You can use single or double quotes to wrap the value text. You cannot mix them, however. Generally, it is common practice to use double quotes. Whatever choice we make, we can then add the other type within the value text. Of course, if we try to add the same quote in the text, it will assume we are closing the value. We are more likely to want to add a single quote inside the value text than a double quote, and to ensure our code remains consistent and easy to read, we should use the same formatting rules consistently. A switch in format should be the exception, not common practice. Let's use this as a chance to discuss HTML entities, as we can use these to overcome our quotation problem. Certain characters are part of the HTML syntax and can cause problems when used in a place where the browser interprets them as part of the markup language. Here are 5 characters we need to remember. They are greater than, less than, quote, apostrophe, and ampersand. There are more, and knowing how to resolve them is important, but by learning the principle using these 5, we know we can solve other similar issues should they arise in the future. To display these within our web page, we use an HTML entity. All references follow the same format of starting with an ampersand symbol and ending with a semicolon. In the middle is an abbreviated description. Greater than equals GT, less than LT, quote equals quat, apostrophe equals apos, and ampersand equals amp. To demonstrate this, we will change our description to single quotes. Notice how the apostrophe now acts as a closing single quote and causes a problem. If we change the apostrophe to the character reference for an apostrophe, this now solves the problem. Great, that will do us for this video. We have an image for our web page, and we have increased our understanding of adding attributes to an element in HTML. We will become a lot more familiar with attributes as we continue. In our next lesson in this beginner's HTML course, we will add a table to the page for our source ingredients. Bye for now.